Hello, welcome to a very lovely restorative practice today. Excuse me. We're going to focus on external rotation of the hip. So if you think about a neutral position in the hip, my legs are straight forward. My hips are not rotated at all. I would call this neutral. If I turn my knee out to the side or my foot out to the side, then my hip in its socket starts to externally rotate, it turns out, to the side. So that's what we're going to work. So for things like sitting cross-legged, a wide-legged forward fold, butterfly position, all of that kind of stuff, external rotation. Standing shapes that we do throughout flows like Trikonasana, triangle pose, warrior two, Virabhadrasana two, Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. Again, external rotation in the hip, just to give you a frame of reference. For this restorative practice, though, I'll recommend having two pillows outside of your mat, like whereabouts your hips and knees are. And then we're going to start out on our backs. So maybe patting the back of the head, the back of the skull with a folded blanket. Nothing too high. So if you do want to use a pillow, I still want you to think about keeping a neutral neck. So instead of the head being really lifted and the chin kind of tucked in, a neck that's nice and neutral as you lay back. All right, so taking, if you're going to use something, underneath the back of the head, and then pillows off to either side. You can grab throw pillows, you can grab pillows from your bed, you can grab couch cushions. When I take a blanket underneath the back of my head, I've mentioned this before, I like to tuck and roll that blanket underneath my cervical spine, the back of the neck, where that little curve is, to give it some support. And then take a moment here to choose whether you would like to bend your knees and knock your knees in towards one another or straighten out through the legs. You can kind of just feel that out. Most often, if there's stuff going on in the low back, or if there's sciatica in your body, which is the pinching of that sciatic nerve that runs from the low back into the inner thigh, stretching the legs out on your back might be really achy or uncomfortable. So you can always bend those knees and plant those feet. Let's just take a moment here to connect the hands somewhere on the body. Invitation to close the eyes. Start to relax the shoulders down the back. Start to deepen the breath. Taking some time here in the beginning of our practice to drop in to this moment, to this breath, and to notice how you feel, to notice what you're feeling and where you are feeling things, if at all. And sometimes that feeling might be numbness, a lack of sensation. Those things are appropriate to notice as well. Let's take about 3 more breaths here. And then if your knees are bent for this first little warm-up exercise, can you straighten out through your legs, stretch your legs out? Flex your toes towards your face so you feel a little bit of length along the Achilles tendon and the calf. And then turn your toes out to the side, so finding external rotation by way of the feet. And then turning the toes back to neutral. We're just going to do that a few times. Externally rotate and back to neutral. So just the feet. And you're going to notice, probably, my guess would be, one side is easier to rotate than the other. And that's okay. You're just kind of noticing. Also noticing sensation that runs up and down the leg and maybe even into the low back or the pelvis. All right, and then come back to neutral. Bend both of your knees, plant to your feet on your mat. Press down into your feet and kind of scoop the tailbone under a little bit so a little bit more of the low back is resting on the mat. And then walk your feet towards one another so the inner edges of the feet are touching. And then let the right knee fall off to the right. Come back through center. Right knee pointing up towards the ceiling, and then left knee off to the left. Come back through center, left knee up towards the ceiling. And then we're just going to take it side to side. Right knee out and back in, and left knee out and back in. So this might not feel like a lot for you, and that's okay, because remember, we're not always seeking sensation. That's not always an indicator of, success in an asana yoga practice. But what we're doing right now with this gentle falling out and bringing in of the knees is pumping blood to the hips. So blood flow is always really helpful with regards to healing the body and warming up the tissues that we're going to be working. When I say working in a restorative context, it's lengthening the tissues in a relaxed position, which can be a lot on tissues. It's a lot to ask of tissues. A couple more times to each side. Good. And so one more time off to the left, and back through center. Go ahead and extend your left leg out. And then your right ankle, it's just going to relax on top of your right thigh towards the knee joint, like you're taking, it's like you're taking figure 4 with that left leg stretched out. Okay, so it's a nice, basically you are making a figure 4 with your lower body. Right knee pointing off to the right, ankle is resting on top of the left thigh knee junction. And then this is where maybe that cushion comes in handy. You can slide it underneath the outer right knee. You might take your hand and just gently rest it along the inner right thigh, and maybe the other hand to the rib cage or to the belly, just to encourage the body to continue to breathe deeply and to soften. So take some time here to relax into this shape. Notice if there's any gripping in the right hip. See if you can breathe in and relax with the exhale. I'll be here for about 3 minutes. enough time for muscles to unclench and the tissue to lengthen. Checking in with your breath every so often. About halfway through. If you're using a prop and you want to get rid of it or explore something different, or if you need more support underneath that outer right thigh, that's always welcome. Last minute here. One more big breath in, big breath out. And take your right hand and scoop up the outer right thigh. Help your knee come back towards the ceiling. And then you can either extend your right leg alongside your left leg and just pause here and rest, or you can bend both of your knees and sway the knees side to side. So we know we're going to do the second side, but always kind of trying to slow things way down here in a restorative practice. and pause in between. All right, so we'll start to bend the left knee and take that left ankle on top of the right thigh knee joint junction. Let the left knee fall off to the left side. You might slide that cushion underneath the knee joint. If there's a lot of space and a lot of tension in the hip, just pile as many props as you need underneath that left side. It might be different than what you did on the first side. That's always okay. You don't have to force symmetry in the body. Bodies are naturally asymmetric for most of us. Pretty rare that we're very symmetrical. And start to settle in here. If you need to make any adjustments along the way, those are welcome. Deepening back into your breath, you might notice that when we shift shapes, when we make changes, the intellect, the mind can start to whir and analyze. So just always noticing that, acknowledging it, kind of observing how the mind works. It's almost like you can imagine a bird's eye view. Could you zoom out and get a little bit curious about that process of the mind? And then as you allow yourself to get a little bit lighter with that thought processing, and you focus back in on the breath. Oh, one more minute here. Remember, just a little bit of a gentle touch with the hands can encourage the body to soften, to relax. So if you are using your hands to place on the outer left thigh, it's very gentle. It's just a reminder to tissues to relax, to ungrip. Maybe the other hand on the belly to encourage the breath, nice and deep. Let's take one more breath here. With your left hand, scooping up the outer left thigh, encourage that knee back towards the ceiling. You can either plant that left foot and bend the right knee, or extend the left leg long to meet the right. Taking a few moments here in a neutrally rotated position, or in a little bit of dynamic movement, swaying the knees side to side. I wouldn't say one is better than the other, or even say that one is more correct than the other. I would encourage you to continue to explore your body and what it's telling you it needs and wants. And that is what would be right for you. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of options. One would be to sit up and take a seated forward fold with, again, this idea of external rotation. So in a forward fold, we can take one of two options. And one would be to take cow face, half cow face. So the right leg would cross on top of the left with the left leg extended forward. And then you might have to sit upright here for a few moments. You might, your low back, maybe your hips, your hamstrings, whatever is tight might allow you to fold forward. It might not though, it might not feel so great. So just using your best judgment with that, you're either folding over the leg or you're sitting upright. You could also bend that bottom leg and stack and fold over. Now this is for the very externally rotated or pretty flexible hips. And then final option, I know this is a lot of options, but number 3, if you want to go ahead and lay back down, taking more of an easy cross-legged seat with the legs and then laying onto your back. So not Baddha Konasana, which is soles of the feet together. We're just crossing the right shin bone in front of the left shin bone. And then remember you have your pillows here if you want to use them to support the body in any way. Especially if you're in an upright seated forward fold, you might stack pillows underneath the belly and the chest. We're going to take a minute on each side. Let's take 3 more breaths on this first side. If you're on your back, you can simply extend the legs forward. And again, those options of being still or bending the knees and swaying the feet side to side, they stand here. You're just finding something to kind of neutralize. And if you're seated upright, maybe you extend both legs forward. Hands behind you. You can wave the feet side to side, just like we did when we were starting out lying down on our backs. Just finding a little bit of gentle movement in the body is all. And we'll set up for our second round. So we'll either take one of our three options. That first one, half cow face, which is the left leg crossing on top of the extended right leg. And traditional cow pose would be knee stacked on top of knee. Now you can see my left knee is a little bit off to the left. This hip's pretty tight for me, so I'm just going to honor that in my body and let it sit there. Just listening to the low back and the hamstrings. Maybe you start out in an upright seat. Maybe eventually your body tells you to fold forward. Or there's that second option for those really open hips. You can stack the legs and fold over this or stay in an upright seat. Or you can let this be an easy cross-legged seat and come back onto the back body. So it's just switching out which shin is in front. I'll settle in here for just it's a little over a minute. See if you can soften the jaw. Open the throat. You might even try swallowing a couple of times. Take about 3 more breath cycles here. If you're already on your back, you can just simply unwind the legs and maybe hug your knees into the chest or move into happy baby. And if you're in that upright seat, start to sit up. If you're in that fold, and unwind the legs, come on down to your back. Maybe join us for happy baby. Just take a few moments moving the body in any way that feels good on your back. And we'll settle into a brief Shavasana. We'll take a minute. I recommend always taking something underneath the backs of the knees for Shavasana. It's just a really nice way to support the body. Backs of the knees, and it's a nice trigger point for the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest. Signaling to the body that you're safe, that it's okay to relax and rest. Placing your hands wherever they're comfortable, drawing the shoulder blades down the back. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Let it go, let it rest. Shavasana. If you'd prefer to end your practice on your back as you are, feel free to stay. If you'd like to join me in an upright seat, I'm going to guide us through 3 rounds of Brahmari breath, which is the bumblebee breath. So it's a hum at the back of the throat on the exhale. You're welcome to do that on your back also. Now, if you're coming to an upright seat, make sure it's supported. Make sure that the spine can grow tall with ease. You can even sit in a chair if that's more helpful. Placing your hands face down on the body, breathing in, and breathing out. Maybe let the eyes close if they opened, and we'll breathe in to begin. Inhale for round 2, humming at the back of the throat. And round 3, last round, inhale. Returning to a neutral breath, in and out through the nose, softening through the jaw. If you like, you can join your hands together at the heart and bow the chin into the chest. Taking a moment here to offer reverence and gratitude for our practice. May we use the fruits to serve our highest good, to reach our highest potential. May we share it with those around us that we love and who could use healing. Together, may we remember to send love and healing to all sentient beings around the world that may be suffering. May they be happy. May they be free. Namaste, yogis. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I hope you had a really nice and restorative practice. We will be back with more for you next week. Take care in the meantime.